Hello everybody and welcome to 97% Fire, the home of home recording. Now today is very exciting as we have an artist coming in, so we're going to focus on how to make killer vocal recordings in your home studio. Dale! Alright! Yeah, I know it's silly. I mean, this isn't even plugged in, and that was demolished years ago. However, on to serious business. We do have a proper singer coming in to do a session for us today, so I won't be singing, unfortunately. And if that's not worth a like and subscribe all on its own, I don't know what is. Now, this needs to go back to the Freddie Mercury costume department, which is local to us. You could just pop that into... Oh no, who? Rapsy Nesbitt. Never heard of him. Sounds like some sort of ripped grime artist. Anyway, tenuous Gregor Fisher 80s Scottish references aside, let's crack on with the session. Okay, so regular viewers of the channel will both be aware that I can either do audio or video, but never both at the same time. So today we're using a brand new camera to see if we can upgrade the footage. And this is indeed state of the art and was bought specially, and there's in no way my new work phone. First things first, microphones. Here we go. So there's a real easy rule of thumb when it comes to deciding which microphone you're going to use for recording a session. And it is this. Use the best large diameter condenser microphone that you have. If you have a CO1, use that. If you have a 414, use that. If you have some incredible 20 grand FET ribbon gold plated Beatles microphone, then use that, although you're probably not watching this. Beast microphone here, SM58, best microphone in the world, possibly. These are about 80-90 quid brand new. That microphone there is an Audio-Technica 4040, and that was about 200 quid about 10 years ago. So that's the best microphone I currently have, and that's the one I'll be using. Now, in terms of location, we have the pop shield, which you can see. There's a couple of things. Wobbly cam. Yeah, so that gives us spacing from the artist to make sure we don't get plosives. Behind it, you can see we have not one, to show on camera, not one, but two of our acoustic panels and some curtains. Now, that's mainly to stop a little bit of reflection, but any noise from outside. And then we have our headphones, and they are patched into our mixing desk for foldback. And we also have, last but not least, the repeater screen, which will have the Pro Tools session on it. Hi. So the way that we go about recording an artist going to our home studio is going to be slightly different. You may be used to recording yourself, and you take thousands of takes of your vocals over weeks, months, years, and then you spend another couple of decades comping something together until it's perfect. Well, here we've got 2 hours, and now the aim is that the artist walks in through the door, goes into the studio, pops on their headphones, we hit play and record, and they can sing their whole track from start to finish. During this time, we'll take levels on the mic to make sure we're not overloading or we're not too quiet. We'll also check whether there's loud or quiet parts to the track, in case we need to adjust pop shields and things. We can also check that they can hear themselves correctly in their headphone mix. We can also add maybe a little bit of reverb to the headphone mix just to make them feel comfortable. And the way we go about doing that is by being prepared. So there's 3 things that happens in a professional recording studio. 2 of them we can't really compete with. First one being hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of gear. You might get there eventually, but not usually. The second thing is soundproofing. So a pro studio is going to have incredibly soundproof and treated rooms. But the third thing we can compete with, which is efficiency. Even though it's only a 2-hour session, I'm probably going to do 1, maybe 2 hours of prep first to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And we start with the backing track. So first things first is the backing track. We are using a backing track from Prod Bloom. So the track Mia has chosen is called The Fall. Now there are lots and lots of different types of styles of music. You've got alternative rock, indie, synth, surf cruise, wow, whatever that is. So anyway, all these different genres are available, and what you can do is you can either buy a license to use the track, and there's different licenses depending on what you're doing. So if you're a multi-platinum artist and you're going to make millions on iTunes, then you'd have one sort of license, or you could just use it to record demos. Now we're actually using this for educational purposes. As you know, everything on this channel and on our website is free. So there's all the different licenses down there, terms and conditions. Have a look. This is not an advert, although I'm clearly advertising it. So I was actually sent a link to the track, which I downloaded, and then I imported it into Pro Tools. Now this is where the first mistake happened. As you can see from here, the track is in 44.1 24-bit stereo. Now, by default, my mixing desk runs in 48K. It did actually import perfectly, although it was playing at a slightly different speed. I hadn't heard it before, so I wasn't really aware. So as soon as we went to start the session, the music was playing at the wrong speed, so we had to re-record it in live using a cable from a laptop, and then I replaced the audio after the session had finished with a full quality version. So once the audio was in Pro Tools, the first thing I did was set up memory locators. So we worked out where the verse, the chorus, the middle eight, and so forth was, and that just means we can really easily jump around the track. So if the artist wants to have another go at the chorus, you can hit one button, hit record, and away you go. So we are ready for our session. We have got Pro Tools repeater screen, so we can see where we are within the track. We've got the mic set up to the correct height. We have got a very dark room that you can't see the headphones controls, so the artist can turn their mix up and down, and some ambient lighting. Look at this. Fancy. Right. Let's make some music, baby. Okay, so first thing we need to do is a level check. So on the track. So we have already played the track through next door once for Maya, so you can hear it in the headphones. And what we're doing now is a recording test. This isn't one we're going to keep, this is just for level, so you can see the signal there is quite low in Pro Tools and the waveform, although we are listening to it rather than looking at the signal. So we're going to boost the signal now, trying to get a balance of signal to noise ratio, so we want lots of Maya, but we don't want background hiss and that type of thing. And then we're looking at the compressor just to make sure it's working gently but not crushing the signal. The same, this is the noise gate, because we're not a soundproof studio. We just want to take out any background noise or noise from fans or TVs. And then we've applied a basic EQ. Now the EQ can always be altered later, but as you can see now we are getting a much stronger signal. So what we'll do is we'll let the artist sing through the track once, and then when we've got some bass settings we will invite them in. and they'll be able to listen back to the session to see if they're happy with how that sounds. We will also, as I shall show you in a minute, be monitoring on headphones, because again we're not soundproof, so if I use my studio speakers there's a chance I'm going to get coloration and also some delay on the recording by the time it takes the sound to get background to the studio. Here we've added a little bit of reverb to the headphone mix, just again because the room is quite dry, so it just makes it easier, more fun to sing. That's not going to be recorded, although the same reverb could be applied later. There we go, so a second check. We'll just pop in next door and see, make sure that everyone's where we expect them to be in terms of distance, so we're not getting plosives, that type of thing. So now we're happy with our signal. We run the entire track from start to finish. This will be our first proper take, and as we're doing so we're listening and looking out for red lights that would indicate clipping or distortion. So now we have a good vocal take in the bag. What you would want to do is invite your artist into the control room and sit them in the sweet spot and play back the track at a nice comfortable volume so they can hear exactly what they sound like, and then take on board any comments, because it's their song, they're going to know it best, so they're also going to know how they want to sound, if you need to go closer or further away or more or less compression, that type of thing. This step is really important, and it also builds confidence. If they think they're going to sound cool, they'll sing better. So in a previous episode we set up this piece of software which is called Sound ID. The links are in the description if you want to see how that was done. As you can see here, we have a tailored EQ curve, and this compensates for the limitations of the room and also the speakers. Now when we're tracking, we don't really want the speakers on, but we still want to be able to monitor and have a true representation of what's being captured. So we click on the headphone setting. This happens to be the same headphones that I'm using in the control room, and as you can see, because headphones have smaller drivers, we lose some of the bass response, so this is compensated for with an EQ curve. That means that we can monitor in our studio because it's not soundproofed with headphones, but we also get a true representation of what we'd hear through the speakers, and we can of course toggle backwards and forwards between takes to make sure this is correct. This is an excellent little hack if you don't have a soundproof room. So we are now tracking and wearing our headphones. The camera is picking up the audio from the state-of-the-art CCTV, which is baby monitor, and we use this so that we can check to see if the vocalist is on axis. As you can see here, when Maya sings, she looks down slightly because she has some words there, and that is absolutely fine because we know she's going to do it. So we have adjusted the microphone and the pop shield and the distance accordingly. So we are in full tracking mode now. You are hearing the audio in the room from the camera that I'm recording. I'm actually listening to the audio via my headphones, via Pro Tools, via Sound Reference ID, so I'm hearing exactly what's coming out of the microphone directly. And just do a little few fine tunes here and there. And when Maya has finally finished mixing and mastering and is happy, I will put the links to the song in the description.
So just over 2 hours after Maya came in, we have created this track. As you can see, there's various levels of vocals. We have done a quick mix that we have given to the artist to take away on a USB stick, and this is what it sounds like.
I thought my time is running out, so why do I keep on without a doubt? Life's so dried up, stuck in a drought, so why do I keep on to be devout? Whoa, it's creeping in, there's no escape, I'm screaming out, drowning in grey. A silence fills my mind. Try to keep it there, but it's so unkind. These four walls becomes my only view. I'm sinking slow, so I imagine you. You hate it so cruel. Know you're in my head, but I play the fool. Poison at its lips, out of reach. Steals away all my youth, lost without any muse. And scrubbed away clean by bleach. Naive, I never knew just how much I could lose. Pain in my chest, I guess I should have listened. Wanna find myself in this very position, but the fall is far too steep, so I end up on my time is running out. So why do I keep on without a doubt? Life's so dried up, stuck in a drought. So why do I keep on to be devout? Whoa, pulls me on the edge as a test. Do I trust in me? Teardrops hit the ground, they surround, but I grit my teeth. Bullets all end in catastrophe, forever apart the tree. But I keep my will strong, so let's go. I found my time. No time is running out. Without a doubt, ooh, I'm so dried up, stuck in a drought.
So that is a little snippet of our mix, and we achieved this by using Pro Tools new to me routing folders. So we created different vocal channels, and then we sent that to a master vocal channel, and on that channel we had our processing. So we started with a Neve 1073 emulator, because I don't actually own any Neve preamps, unfortunately, and we EQ'd that accordingly. We also added some just global EQ, just took out a bit of bottom end, probably all in the wrong order, but it won't matter because it's just a demo. And then we added an 1176 emulator for some nice compression. And then for a reverb, in the end we actually just used Pro Tools standard deverb. We can use something a bit fancier later, but that's how the demo was mixed. This is also done via a print track, so that the master fader does not affect the effects. Now, if you want to send this off to be mixed and mastered by somebody else, there's a few things you need to do. First of all, clean up your session. You can, by all means, send an entire Pro Tools session to somebody, but it might be a bit confusing. So to make things easier, get rid of all the tracks that you don't need. Here we had some demo takes, and we tried some different ad-libs that we didn't use in the end. We also have a print track at the bottom, which means we could bounce So we don't need any of that. So the first job is to consolidate all the tracks, and this is possibly the most important thing you need to do. So click the button and boom, as if by magic, every single track is now exactly the same length. And that is really important, because if we send 7, 9, 15 individual wave files, we want them to line up perfectly when they open up in a new drawer. So it doesn't matter if you're sending it to Logic, Pro Tools, Cubase, whatever it be, it just syncs everything nicely. The next thing we need to do is to take off all the processing. So if we're sending this to be mixed, they're not going to particularly want our preamps or our EQ or our reverb, possibly because theirs would be much better. So we just send a clean copy of the track, and they can do with it what they will. So once you've cleared all of the mix, you get back to a raw state of clean audio. Now, depending who is going to mix your track for you, they're going to have a different set of requirements. So make sure you understand what they want first. For example, some people will like you to rename the tracks in the order that they appear. So for example, you're going to call your backing track or your guide track 01 and then the name, and then your first lead vocal track will be 02 and then 03 and so on. So it's very easy to arrange it in a mix if you've never seen it before. Some people like you to label it with the initial of the instrument, so D for drums, G for guitar, that sort of stuff. So if you've got a big session with lots and lots of live instruments, it's easy to rebuild it. And then that's that. You can then bounce those down individually, cleanly, in the highest resolution that you can manage. Put them all in one folder, make sure they're all playback, and then that can be sent off via Tinternet to be mixed and eventually mastered. And that is that.
So there you have it. That is a 2-hour recording session, edited down to about 20-30 minutes, depending how we finish. One of the things I get asked often is about cost. So if you have a home recording studio and you want somebody in and you wanted to charge them, what would you charge them? Well, there's a few ways of looking at it. So I used to work for a big corporation in London, and one of their flagship studios would be £3,500 a day to hire. They of course had hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of kit. It was fully soundproof, and probably 70, 80 years of experience of doing the job. So your product that you're going to get from there is going to be quite good. In a home studio, even if you try your best, you're not going to be able to match it. So think about your time. Yes, we took 2 hours to record. So minimum wage, £10 an hour, that'd be 20 quid. Is that what your time was worth? For me, it took me, 10, 15 years to get to the level that I'm at, whether that's good or bad. So you sort of have to take into consideration your experience and also your kit. So a lot of this stuff I've had for years. I haven't actually had to buy microphones or hire any equipment. So for this session, if I was going to charge for it, which I didn't because we did a deal with Maya where she very kindly let me use the vocals, so there was no charge. And mainly because this is educational, isn't it? It's about fun, it's not about making money. But you're looking in this kind of area between £30, £40 an hour, something like that, £300, £400 a day for a studio, depending on your type of studio. So that's that. I hope you found this interesting, and we shall see you next time.